Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to Chessie Systems Canadian Operations Blenheim Subdivision. This is a new channel that's going to be used to document the building of my first layout, both with myself and my father. Dad's been a model railroader for a very, very long time, as long as I can remember being a kid. He used to take me rail fanning and all that fun stuff, and I never really took to the hobby much. I was big into wargaming, things of that nature, and I've suddenly shifted gears, I guess you could say. Just really enjoying it, enjoying rail fanning, enjoying getting out and taking a look at things that are no longer there. So in my case, that's why the Blenheim Sub sort of holds a special place in my heart. I'm actually located in Glenwood, so I actually back right onto the old right-of-way. Not far from the location of where the old St. Clair grain used to be, close to Port Road. So a little bit of history. There's actually a control hut in the back here in the tree line, which is actually pretty interesting. But I like getting around and exploring and taking a look and you know, nosing around where things used to be. I wasn't from this area originally. I moved down here about 12 years ago, so picking up on the history. I used to actually rail fan with my dad on these very tracks, but in Dutton, which is actually kind of interesting. So that was where my grandfather was from. He spent a lot of time, actually worked for the Michigan Central Railway, as well as then the New York Central Railway. Both obviously running through Dutton. So a little bit of history there, but really wanted to sort of bring it back to life. And the spot that I've chosen to model, obviously I don't have the space to allow for a proper prototypical representation of Blenheim. So I'm going to do my best to represent it in N scale. Obviously there's going to be some changes. I'm going to take you guys through that here. I'm going to jump off of this, go over onto the tripod. We're going to have a look at an overview of the layout, show you the track plan, my thoughts. Right now I have my basic loop just about in. I'm waiting on some turnouts, and with the current situation that's going on, getting a hold of things is rather difficult. So trying to get my hands on some Pico turnouts has proven difficult. So I'm going to take you over, show you the layout, give you an idea of the track plan. I'm also going to throw some stills in the video just to give you an idea of what the prototype looked like. So I've actually been lucky enough to get in contact with a lot of great guys local to this area that are big buffs as far as Chessie and CNO, you know, in the track that was. So you know, Tim Swadling, Geoff Elliot, great guys. He's also, Jeff's been fantastic, has allowed me to use a lot of his photographs that I've been poaching off the internet. In doing a lot of research, I found that he is basically the photograph resource of choice. When you look stuff up for my particular area, at least, his name comes up a lot. You know, he's fairly well known in the community. Great guy. Asked him if I could use it, and he said go right ahead. So a lot of the photographs you're going to see on the channel, as well as on the Facebook page and stuff, are going to be courtesy of him. He's got some awesome shots. He's a very talented photographer, and I think he's acquired quite a few collections over the years that are augmenting his stellar collection. So going to be really happy to share those with you guys and help to bring my model to life. So had a lot of help from the community getting some reference photographs about the yard at Blenheim. So I'm going to show you the track plan for the yard at Blenheim, as well as the track plan for basically the diamond at Fargo, with the Canada Southern that actually Sub 2 shared. So my layout consists of part of Sub 1, and then the cutoff to at the Y, the cutoff to Sub 2, leading to the interchange of the C, or the Canada Southern, I'm sorry. And again, those are a lot to cram into such a small space. I think I've managed to do it without overcrowding the scene and making it too full. Sometimes I think guys get, you know, and it's all personal preference for sure, but I like to have it streamlined a bit, try to look a little more prototypical, rather than having track covering, you know, 95% of the layout. But basically my goal here is I really want to be able to operate, run some sessions for the Blenheim yard. Obviously there's a bunch of industries in Blenheim that we'll go over in future videos and stuff. And I am going to take the liberty of adding a couple extra industries just so that I have some switching interest, some operational interest to the layout. But yeah, so that's basically an introduction to what we're doing here. Don't know whether or not we're going to get Dad on the camera or not. He's been a model railroad, like I said, for a very long time. He's got a stunning layout in his basement, and I will be sure to share some photographs of that with you guys in the future here, and maybe some video at some point, you know, once we can start traveling again. But I'm very blessed to have the resource of him. He's also been kind enough to really get me started in the right foot. He's given me some awesome power options and stuff that's not overly specific to my prototypical operations. I'm still trying to decide on a time frame, so by all means chime in on what you think the most interesting time frame as far as the power is going to be related. You know, I really don't want to overly limit myself, so I may have a pretty broad time stamp for this layout, just to allow you know, a variety of things to run. So when we get over here today, you're going to see there's actually a Seaboard and the CSX engine on the track. You know, things are very bare bones right now, but either way, he's been great. He's given me a whole box of goodies to get started with, and it's been fantastic. So really happy to be able to share this with him and get the build going. And you know, once we can get back to normal here, get him down here to have a look and run some trains and all that fun stuff. So that's enough of me talking. Welcome to the channel. Thanks so very much for stopping by. I'm going to jump you over onto the tripod now. We're going to have a look and see what I've got laid out, and I'll kind of take you guys through the layout. Stand by. Okay guys, so this is starting at the far end of what is going to be the Blenheim yard. Excuse the mess, obviously it was a little bit of a work day for me down here in the layout. Wanted to get some work done. So the double tracks here are where you are going to find the Blenheim yard. Now, in sharing with you what the Blenheim yard is laid out like, and some photographs I'm going to include, Blenheim has a very large grain handling facility that actually is on both sides of the track. So for my purposes, it's going to be very hard to model the stuff on this side of the track, just for reaching over and operating the yard. So I'm going to do my best to represent something there. But basically, I'm not going to be able to pull the whole thing off, nor am I going to be able to have the full size. But just to take you through, we're going to have the yard is going to be here. Basically, there will be a small engine and machine shop facility here for servicing, and then there's a couple spurs that are going to go, as I'll show you in the track plan, for more grain handling opportunities, and then a couple more industries. There's a coal dock and things of that nature. So a lot of interesting history with the subdivision, and I'm happy to take you guys through that as best as I can. And if anybody is able to correct me in something I'm saying that's wrong, by all means, please leave it in the comments below. A lot of cool history. So you should have what's called standard tube down here at the other end of the yard. I'm not going to represent that coming off the yard as it's in the prototype. I'm actually going to use that turnout over there to put a couple industries down in this area. That's just for obviously operational interest and just space constraints. You know, I'm quite happy with the current layout as it was, and I'm happy that I was able to get it as sweeping and broad as I did. But there's still limited space, so I'm just going to pick the tripod up for a moment and move you guys on to the next part. So the station is fairly accurate to where it's going to be. So the track moving this way is going to represent westbound. So that would be heading towards Windsor. So as you loop around, you're westbound, the yard in Blenheim, you come out of the yard in Blenheim, the loop around then takes you to what is referred to as Blenheim Junction, which is the Y. Again, very interesting location with lots of history that I'm hopeful that we can share with you folks moving forward. So I wanted to model the Y there. I really like it. Even in person, I've had the pleasure of seeing it. A lot of it's tore up now, but there are still remnants of it. It would have been quite the scene, especially given that there used to be another branch that went to, or the subdivision ran all the way to Erie, which is quite cool. There was a large coaling facility down there for offloading coal from the Lakers, which would have been another really cool part. But it was tore up in '73, I believe, and just not something I was gonna go to that extent of modeling. So obviously I need to do my backgrounds, you know, and I want to try to keep that flow of track so the photographs have some continuity. I haven't quite decided how I'm going to do that, but anyways, it was an interesting spot. I liked it. It gave me a lot of option. I am going to model it showing the right-of-way continuing for the old branch, because even to this day you can still see remnants of it. You know, where it came basically continued straight through the Y, through the diamond, across, and then through the underpass under Highway 3, which is now filled in. But you still can see remnants of the roadbed and the right-of-way, which is pretty cool. So so this is the turn where it jumps onto sub 2. So sub 2 is the one that's going to run, you know, up to Chatham, Tuberville, Wallaceburg, Sarnia, those areas there. So I'm just going to pick you up and swing you around here a little more. I've added another turnout. Now there should be a passing siding on this stretch of track. It was just going to get too busy, so I couldn't include it. Just like if you go back to the diamond here, the Y, technically there should be a crossover somewhere in here. Crossover track is its double track coming out of Blenheim all the way just about until the Y. So for space reasons, I couldn't model that. I could have, but I would have sacrificed the extra industry that I'm going to put on the other side, so I chose not to do that. So again, this is just a representation, definitely not super prototypical. So there's going to be 2 industries here off of that turnout, and again, that's just for operating purposes, just to have some interest there. The part that I'm quite happy with on how it turned out and the look of it is in fact this next spot here, which is going to represent Fargo. So there is an interchange and a crossover with the Canada Southern at this location. So this is going to give me some different options for, you know, interchange use, power options. You know, it's going to add some interest to the layout for sure. And it was something I wanted to model. Basically because my grandfather worked those rails, you know, both for Michigan Central as well as for New York Central. So it was something that I wanted to have. I couldn't represent the whole yard at Fargo, but as you can see, you have the turnout, the lead track, and then this is going to represent one of the mains. I don't know, through my research, I'm still trying to figure out if that section was or when it was double track main. You know, if anybody has information on that, please let me know. But it allowed me to model a crossover point, and again, it leaves me some more options in the future. I was actually considering using this as a staging point, so this is going to be the door to enter the room, so I could have a removable staging yard, which will allow me, you know, obviously to stage a bunch of different trains. It's also there for future expansion. I've built the layout so that I can take it apart and move it at some point. Right now it's in the basement of my house, but I'm hoping that at some point we'll be able to have a designated train room in the top of a shop or something, which will allow for some expansion. So anyways, that's an overview of the layout, guys. It's 2x4 construction. I'm not really sure. I'd have to measure my radiuses. I haven't done it. I really went off the fly on this. I was doing some research. I tried to play around with any rail. I just couldn't get it to go for me. I'm more of a hands-on guy, so I literally just started laying this out with roadbed and liked where it was going, and I just kept going. So I got the roadbed down, was happy with the curves and the look. And then started laying some track. So I'm at the point where I'm gluing track down now, and you know, getting pretty excited to start dropping some wires and hopefully get some of this power running on the layout. So I'll just take you a quick flyby here. So these are actually some of the first cars that I've weathered, as well as the CSX engine did some extra weathering on it. My dad had already weathered it fairly well. I just added some powders and some grit and grime. So that is where the layout stands right now. So thanks very much for joining me. I hope you tune in. I'm going to try to keep regular content, as regular as I can. Offer some tips, some tricks. I have a background in wargaming and miniature painting, so sharing some techniques for weathering and terrain specifically. Really excited to do that. Really excited to get some color on here. I still need to pick a time of year, so I'm still up in the air on that, but one step at a time. I want to make sure I get the bugs worked out of my track before I start getting too carried away with scenicking the layout. So, and then obviously I got to lay out roads and stuff. Either way, it's going to be a journey. Hope you guys are willing to stop by and give it a visit. Hit the like button if you like. If you want to follow along, hit the subscribe button. And thanks very much for joining me, guys. Have a great weekend and happy Easter.